Coming up on This Week in Poker, we are joined by media personality Scott Huff, cover poker headlines with Jess Wellman, conduct the first ever This Week in Poker fantasy football viewer draft, and uncover evidence that shows Stu Unger is definitely still alive. Stay tuned. Hey, we're back. This Week in Poker. I am currently joined by nobody. Scott Huff is in the other room. He'll be coming in momentarily, within a few minutes. So that's not really momentarily. We're going to discover all sorts of things across the poker media spectrum. It'll be a short show. We've got a lot of ground to cover because at 4:45 we have our This Week in Poker fantasy football draft. Viewer draft. It's half viewer teams, not necessarily all just, friends and everything, but we got a lot of great Twitter submissions for team names, and we selected them, threw them in a draft. They got a comp to buy in, and we'll be doing that at 4:45. But because we're running short on time, and that's at 4:45, we're going to get right to Jess Wellman and Poker Headlines. Jess, let's get her on Skype. Wow, we didn't have the Poker Headlines with Jess, did we? There we go.
Where's my theme music?
And we got the theme music. Much better. Jess, how's it going?
It's all right.
Where are you? Are you in Vegas?
I am in Vegas. Home for another week or so, and then it's off to Atlantic City.
For which event? Which WPT event?
Borgata.
All right. What is going on in the poker world this week?
Mostly more tournaments. I feel like we went a month where, there are no tournaments, how boring. And now I feel like that's all we talk about. But tons of European tournaments and tons of tournaments in the Midwest, of all places.
It seems like there's been a lot of minor tournament, not a ton of big buy-in or high-profile events, but just a lot of minor or smaller buy-in, but still somewhat prestigious events.
They're huge, though. I don't know, this Oklahoma tournament, the River, It's a smaller buy-in event. It's a 2K, but it had a $3 million guarantee on it. So there's just this huge event in Oklahoma that I think the bigger names in poker are finally starting to pick up on. So you had Jason Mercier there. You had Greg Raymer acting as a host, Gavin Smith, Lane Flack, Tiffany Michelle, Maria Ho. All those people came and played. There were 1,500 or so entrants. You were allowed to, like a Savage tournament, re-enter on the later days.
Right.
Made the guarantee. Someone with an unpronounceable name, so I'm going to butcher it. Sorry, sir. Kong Subanong? Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Congratulations to Kong.
Name. You won the River. That's the big one. The other Midwest one was the circuit event. Blair Hinkle ended up winning that one, getting about 88,000. And then you're right, there were several smaller, less prestigious events going on in Europe, but they got some good stories out of it, even if they didn't get necessarily the biggest crowds.
What were some of the good stories coming out?
In London, you had Jake Cody won the WPT London event. Means at the age of 21, he's already got a WPT title and an EPT title. Sounds like he's going to go for the Triple Crown with a WSOP bracelet as well. Still a ways away. He could win one in Europe later this month, but that was the interesting story out of London. Boosted J, Justin Smith won the High Rollers event, but that one ended up only getting 15 or 17 people total, so it was a little, if you thought the main event for London had a poor turnout, the High Roller event turned out to be even less of
It was lacking some luster.
A little. Everyone was in Cannes for part two because kind of to compare Cannes to Oklahoma, something I never thought I would do. They had a €3 million guarantee on the event, so they ended up getting 764 players, a lot of big names. It's going to be televised in Europe. They're taking that November 9 approach, too, where they've got the final 9 set now, and they're going to come back in November and play it out live on TV. And they actually have a really good final table. It's Fabrice Soulier, Vanessa Selps, Tobias Rankenmeyer, and Soren Kongsgaard are the few that I recognized off the top of my head. which isn't bad. Downside for Can, they have some trouble brewing on the 2+2 forums thanks to an internet pro by the name of Mickey Peterson. He posted a thread basically implying very obvious collusion between the French floor people and the French players, offered several examples of issues that happened over the course of the tournament. And the issue he discussed that he witnessed, Michael Binger witnessed as well. Michael Binger put up such a fuss about the way the situation was handled that he had his buy-in refunded and was temporarily banned from the casino.
I had not heard anything about at least the controversy side of it. So the French tournament people and players were more or less colluding against everybody else. That's crazy.
Yeah, Partouche is supposed to be releasing an official statement on the forums eventually, giving their side of the story. Mickey's not the only one that came into that thread with stories of things like that had happened and iffy behavior. I'm sure Kev Math is going to throw that link in there for us in the chat momentarily so that they can explain. The situation's very complicated. Basically, it was an iffy ruling about whether or not a hand was dead that was ruled one way in favor of a French player at one table, and then in a very similar situation was ruled the opposite to give a different French player the advantage, at least according to the people in the thread. There's that. Sean D recently started a thread on 2+2 implying some sort of media player collusion on the European tournament circuit. There's Kev Math with that link. Nicely done,
well done,
sir.
Kev Math.
That there seems to be a lot of questions these days about how, for lack of a better word, how safe it is to play on the European circuit, whether you're going to get cheated or colluded by the floor or by some of the media that are helping out the players that they've been assigned to report on, allegedly.
Right, yeah, allegedly, but just yet another reason to despise the French. The good news is that if we, raise a big enough stink on it, we'll probably be occupying the country in 2 weeks. What else? Interesting. What else is going on?
In non-tournament news, the big story is Poker Hall of Fame nominees announced. It's pretty much the same list as last year with two notable exceptions. Tom Dwan didn't make the final 10 like he did last year, but if you recall, he made the 10 and then was thrown out because he's 23 and that's kind of silly. And Men Win, who made the list last year, did not make the list this year. In their place, you have Jennifer Harman and Linda Johnson, so 20% of the nominees are female. Yay, women in poker. Now, Chops, I'm going to turn the tables on you. Don't you get a vote in this?
I do get a vote on this.
Have you thought about who you're going to vote for?
I have thought about it. I haven't finally decided on it. Last year, we were really on the fence with Dan Harrington. Kind of felt like he had done enough, and I almost not discounted the Harrington on Hold'em books as like a reason why he should be in, but I probably didn't give it enough weight. Thinking about it this year, that might be something to put into the factoring and maybe giving him a vote. And then it feels like Scotty Nguyen, the one that I feel really good about that I don't think I'm going to change, it just feels like Scotty Nguyen has done enough to get in there. He's top 5 all-time in earnings. He's got WPT title, main event title, bracelets, still relevant. I know people still knock him for the 50K horse event back in 2008, but he likes to drink at the table. It was a little bit more of an isolated dickish incident, at least on his part. So it feels like Scotty Nguyen probably. Another guy that I'm actually surprisingly finding myself like, what the hell, might as well just put him in at this point, is Ivy. Don't know if I'm going to still go there with the vote yet, but if, for example, Tiger Woods was eligible for the Golf Hall of Fame right now, who wouldn't put him in? Everybody would put him in. If he was on the ballot, he'd get put in. So if Phil Ivey's on the ballot, he's done enough. I mean, he's got 8 bracelets. He's all-time tournament money winner. He all-time online money winner, probably all-time live cash money winner if they actually kept that stuff. So now I'm kind of on the fence on Ivy as well. So, but the one that I do feel for sure about that won't change or waver is going to be Scotty Nguyen. He'll definitely be getting a vote. How about you?
No Seidel, though. I don't get a vote. Lance gets the vote.
But if you got the vote.
But if I got the vote, I've been hearing, and I have to agree that I think Seidel is the one that deserves to be in there.
But if Seidel deserves to be on there this year, why didn't he deserve to be on there last year? Because he was on the ballot last year.
But there are rule changes this year where you only have to get 50% of the vote. They've expanded the media panel. that there's more opportunity for people to get in, whereas last year the standards were set really high.
Which they should have. I think it's kind of lame that they, like, who wants to lower the standards for a Hall of Fame? If you start lowering the standards for a Hall of Fame, then it's not really a Hall of Fame. It's just a hall with people that are pretty good.
There are only, what are there, like 25? I don't know the total number. I know there are 16 living members of the Hall of Fame. If we're only putting in one a year, it's going to be like 2050 by the time someone like Negreanu, we have room on the ballot to get him in there. I think there are so many players that have done so much that I don't mind that we're making it more easy for two people to get in.
Right. Why Seidel then over Ivy? Just because he would satisfy the stood the test of time criteria more so? Because Ivy would absolutely, and Seidel's a great player. I think he's incredibly underrated and deserves more recognition than he gets. But Ivy would slay him on every other criteria. I mean, he's done 8 bracelets in half the amount of time. The online winnings and live standard of play doesn't even compare. So it's really just Seidel's been doing it for about 12 years longer than Ivy.
It's just seniority, in my opinion, honestly. Seidel has the bracelets. He has the cultural impact being such an integral part of Rounders and that whole phenomenon that, to me, it seems like he's the one that needs to be going in. And now seems like a good year to do it. He had the runner-up finish at Heads Up. He just played in his 100th WPT. His Twitter is the funniest thing poker produces on Twitter.
I'll give you that.
It's a good time. It's a very fitting time to get him in. I would love to see Linda get in, but you know how.
Explain that one to me, because it's easy, particularly for us. Let's say at Wicked Chops to make a joke about that one, but she's extremely well respected. But what exactly about her? What has she done that really deserves a vote? Explain that one to me. You know better than I do.
In terms of looking at her from a player standpoint, I understand the argument that maybe she hasn't played the highest stakes or proven herself as just this top percentile player. But if you think about it by the criteria that they set for those who are not necessarily players, her role in the WPT, her role getting women involved in poker, her role in getting Card Player off the ground, all of these are massive contributions to how poker has become the industry that it has.
Right.
I have tremendous respect for Linda. I really look up to her. And I hate to play the woman card, but we need a woman in that Hall of Fame.
Is there not one woman in the Hall of Fame as of now?
If Linda's not in, who would be?
I don't know. I could see something flaky like a Barbara Ann, right? Or
maybe. I'm
that.
not well versed enough in the past years of who's in. I would like to see her get in, but I can see them making her wait on the ballot another year and give it to someone who's been on the ballot last year and deserves to get in.
Yeah.
But I haven't heard a lot of people talk Scotty. I'm kind of surprised you're pretty much the only one I've heard bring it up so far.
I know. No, there's absolutely no momentum for him whatsoever, but I just don't see how there can't be. Yeah, Seidel's got a few more bracelets, but Scotty's got a main event win. I mean, Seidel's got a second, but still, Scotty's got the main event win, the WPT win. He's been doing it for a long time. Top 10, like I said, all-time money. Definitely one of the most recognizable personalities in the game. I don't think that Seidel has done significantly more, let's say, for the poker community than Scotty has. That would trump him on that one. In his own unique Scotty kind of way, he's just as big of a star on Twitter too. So it just doesn't seem like it's that distinct. By the way, Jess, we are joined by Scott Huff.
Hi, Huff.
Look how gussied up she gets for the video show.
Yeah.
She gets all gussied up.
I'm in a sweatshirt. What are you talking about?
You have like a new hairdo, though, or something.
Oh, well, you always catch me, when I've shown up in the studio for the Poker Beat, Scott sees me after 5 hours of road tripping.
Right.
Not exactly.
Well, she's also about to do radio. Who cares, right? You don't have to.
Exactly.
You don't have to get gussied up for radio
at all.
As you can see, I also don't think you have to do it for video.
You dress for radio today. Have you looked at the Hall of Fame list at all?
Yeah, I looked at it last week a little bit. Yeah.
What do you think? What's your gut?
I think Greenstein deserves it.
Really?
This year, I do think so. I think if you go with contributions to the sport, to the game, I think the old school Robin Hood of poker thing, I know we haven't seen as much of it recently, but I think Greenstein deserves it. I'm not saying that because he's my boss. I'm really not. But I think he deserves it. I think Seidel's up there. I think after what's been going on with Scotty, I don't know. I think he needs to wait a little bit longer. Is this his first ballot? Would he be a first ballot Hall of Famer?
No, I think last year he
was on last year.
I think he's paid his
a little bit longer.
I think he's paid his price for 2008. I really do.
What do you mean he's paid his price? For what? We talked about him on some podcasts.
He got beat up. Like, what else do you want the guy to do? Like,
Yeah, I don't know.
he's publicly apologized a dozen times. He hasn't been a dick since.
That's it. He just hasn't been a dick, so it's okay.
Actions speak louder than words.
All right.
And it wasn't like he was a huge asshole before that either.
He's paid his debt to society by just not being a dick.
Matt Savage, I see you are in the chat. You weigh in on this. What do you think? Has Scotty paid his price? Is he good to go to get in there? We'll see. We'll wait for Matt to chime in.
I think Scotty has at his disadvantage the fact that they expanded the media votes.
Right.
He's not one of the more popular people in Media Row.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be what's going to hold him back if anything does.
Okay.
If it were fans, he'd get in right away because you see him on Twitter and the way he interacts with his fans, and it's a really productive, happy, jolly thing. But you don't. When people write about Scotty Wynn, you can still tell that they're holding the 50K horse against him.
Right.
That's just my 2 cents on it, though.
Man, like all the degenerate, fucked up things that have happened in poker, and one bad appearance in the 50K horse event just sinks Scotty Wynn, and we got.
What else do we have to go by? Everybody doesn't know about all that stuff.
True.
Nobody knows about any of the real, goings on. So you have to go by if he drank too many Michelob Ultras and harassed Eric Lindgren, he shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame.
Right.
That's it.
And that's actually a great segue into the segment. Jess, could you stay on Skype? Do you got like 10 minutes to stay on Skype?
Sure.
Great.
She'll probably play a sit and go in the meantime.
I know,
she likes to do that while we record Poker Beat. She multi-tables.
That and watch America's Next Top Model. On
No, because I think you could add some good insight on this. We've only got 15 minutes until the this weekend fantasy draft. A quick congratulations, thanks, shout out to some of our viewers, the Neverland Ranch Hands, who tweeted in the name, got into the league. The notorious WPT might be a friend of the show, but also a great name that deserved inclusion. Make It Wayne, love that one. Fantastic name. So just like I said, a thank you to everybody that tweeted in, got in on the league. Let us know in the chat. Who do you think should go number 1 overall? Is it a lock? It's got to be Chris Johnson or maybe a little Adrian Peterson. Let us know. We'll debate.
I saw a guy who said in a PPR league you should be taking MJD first. But I want to trade him already. I got him in my other league, and I already want him gone.
Everybody's dumping on him.
I'm big time down on him now. I don't know. I don't think that's a good choice at all. But
for everybody that didn't get the proper introduction, Scott Huff.
Which camera am I supposed to look at? This one?
I think you're in this one.
Hi there.
Media personality. Guru.
Guru of what?
Of media personality.
Guru of media personalities. I trained chops.
Yeah. So, and who now has actually a fantasy football show on the Sirius Network.
Yes, I do.
But before, and part of the reason why I mentioned the segue and why, Jess, we want to keep you on, is before the show, Matt Savage, Huff is a tool, just came up
Thanks,
on the
Matt
chat.
Savage.
Thanks,
you
Matt.
couldn't even wait for somebody who doesn't know me to say that, because that was bound to happen.
Thanks a lot for that. Thanks a lot for that
probably won't
solid
start the
contribution.
floodgates. Yeah, the floodgates probably won't open too much if you start the Huff as a tool stuff. I'll be monitoring the chat now.
But yeah, before the show though, Huff and I were talking about, and this was actually really the topic of the show on having Huff in there this week, on the poker media in general and the scruples within the poker media and how much we don't cover and how much stuff we just don't talk about for whatever various reasons. So before we get into that, real quick, Huff, how'd you get into the poker media in general?
I slept on a closet floor during the 2007 World Series of Poker. I would alternate it.
I was hoping that wasn't I slept with Jeff Schulman, the 2007 World Series of Poker.
Throughout the entire tournament, no, absolutely not. But I did share a room with Joe Stapleton. I slept on the closet floor, and then sometimes he would sleep on the closet floor, but never when I was there. I would sleep in the bed. We would alternate. And I was an intern. That's it. I just interned for Card Player. They offered me a job. I worked there for a while, got sick of doing that. They wanted me to move to Vegas, couldn't do it. And then, kind of bounced around doing little things here and there. I hosted Poker Wire Radio for like 5 episodes, so I sort of indirectly worked for Poker Wire.
Right.
And then just when I thought I was out, Seabach and Greenstein pulled me right back in.
Yeah.
And here I am today, still struggling with 1 foot in the grave and 1 foot out the door with being in poker. So that's it. Just worked as an intern and then worked my way up from, I guess, a reporter to kind of doing. I took over Rich Belsky's role as the as the news interviewer on the floor of the World Series of Poker, asking people, "How's your table draw? How's your table draw today? How'd you get your chips?" You know, those kinds of really awesome questions that keep.
And it's really taken you like
online.
four years to get out of the shadow of Belsky.
It has. I'm almost there. Almost there. Although we have the same haircut, I'm sure now. So I'm emulating him now, and I'm finally out of his shadow.
Yeah, and then so you host the Poker Beat, which is one of the best shows. Podcasts in poker.
Since adding Jess Wellman has become one of the best.
Right, and
I
Jess
read
is
that
part of
online yesterday, by the way, Jess.
Aww.
I read that online. They said that I'm an idiot and I don't know anything about poker, but as long as Jess Wellman's there, at least there's someone there to temper my idiocy and my rants. So
right.
It's nice to know.
But Poker Beat, you guys actually do cover a lot of stuff that, at least in print, we don't see a lot in the poker media. Like I said, before the show, we were talking about how the poker media almost, for various reasons, you'd say either protects the members within the industry,
sure,
or because of all the online sites that more or less pay for the poker media, choose not to discuss things. And one of the things that we were, like an example, the Ultimate Bet story that we did on Wicked Chops.
Sure.
The other poker media outlets had the opportunity to do that story, and none of them would touch it for various reasons. Partly because you had Jim Ryan as a figure who might be becoming more of a central figure when we get to a part 3. But Ultimate Bet ad dollars behind that, or even like their handling of the Daniel and Annie story, within a couple of weeks ago. Which, if this was any other industry, if this was ESPN, that would have been something like that with 2 central figures within a sport or of an industry.
That's gold.
Would have been gold.
It still is gold.
Yeah, and it barely got a whisper, and we're just as guilty as anybody else for that. So, within the poker media, are you surprised at how just protective it is of its players?
I don't know. I mean, I think it's funny when you mention, something like the Ultimate Bet scandal and certain places not wanting to cover it and not wanting to touch it. That is definitely just a bottom line thing. That's
right.
Just has 100% to do with money, not wanting to ruffle the feathers of the people who still have money to invest and to use to advertise. But I think on a personal level, I always found it weird, certainly when I was just sort of coming up as a poker journalist, which is one of the weirdest terms ever.
Right.
But it's such a small community. Mm-hmm. And you have to face the people that you're talking about and that you're covering and that you're blowing up their spot, for lack of a better term, every day when you're doing this stuff. If you're on the tournament scene like Jess is and like BJ, and I think you guys do an amazing job, but it's not the most comfortable thing in the world when you see the same 300 guys that you're reporting on week in and week out. If you're talking about their dirty laundry, you can bet there's going to be some ramifications of it that might just be socially uncomfortable. So I think on a personal level for poker journalists, it's tough because you know the people, you grow to like a lot of them because you're traveling around the country or around the world in some cases with them. But yeah, for the big sites, I think a lot of it comes down to money. I mean, I know for Poker Road, we just don't make enough money. We don't have enough advertising to not want to cover something. Right. Will that change in the future? Who knows? But like right now, we're willing to touch pretty much any topic because what's the difference? Right. If you're doing it for free, you might as well do the best job that you possibly can. Those people have something to worry about. Right. They have to worry about where their next meal's coming from, whether they can pay their employees. Jess,
how much of what you find out, let's say, on the circuit, do you just bury? Like 50% of it, 90% of it? And how much, like, if you were in any other field?
Tell us your secrets.
And, no story. You don't have to go into any stories or anything. But if this was any other, if you were covering the NBA, what do you think the percentage of stories that you would run with compared to poker would be?
It's hard to assign a number to it because, do I hear a lot of gossip? Sure. The question is, I guess you see, like, NBA and NFL run with stories that are fueled by gossip. And of course in poker you see a lot of gossip fueled stuff too, but it's not part of my job in my opinion. I've always won, and I have this fight with BJ. I hate being called a journalist. I'm not a journalist. I'm not trained in journalism. I write about poker for a living. To kind of try to answer your question, I'd say like 30% of stuff that I hear that I would like to write about, I don't end up writing about, just because either there's not really a place in Bluff's editorial content planned for it, or it's going to ruffle too many feathers.
The most
to write about
political
it.
way of filtering out a comment I've ever. And I understand because, like, for full disclosure, I'd say probably about 90% of what I hear I don't run with. We sit on a lot of stuff, and we've sat on a lot of stuff for a long time. But
I'm
it's
sure
just
a certain amount of that goes on in other industries that we don't know about.
Right.
So we're just not privy to it. I mean, I have friends who work, for the NBA, that work for Major League Baseball, that have told me stories 100% off the record, bar nights, whatever, that are just, you wouldn't have the same image of, you're in my 5 commercials of Dwayne Wade or of Charles Barkley if you knew everything about those guys. There's certain things you just don't run with, but there's still a certain amount of protecting. Poker is going to get it a lot worse than any other sport is. So I feel like it's not the worst thing in the world sometimes to. You can't bury something like the UB scandal. That's not right in my opinion. But if some player is a degen or is broke, I don't think everyone needs to know about it every single time. I don't think it does anything for the game. And I don't know. If someone else was broke in their life, you wouldn't go around talking about it necessarily. So what's the difference if they're busto in poker? I just think it's okay. You were talking about Linda Johnson earlier. She set out and was very explicit about it. I interviewed her 4-card player, and she said when she started the magazine, her goal was to always promote poker in a positive light, and she was absolutely not ashamed of it. Said, I'm going to be an apologist for poker. I'm going to figure out a way to present it in the best way possible and try to improve the game and improve the game's image. And if that means not talking about the fact that someone has a craps habit, so be it. And I don't think that that's necessarily bad.
Right, yeah. And I'll say this. The one thing with what the poker media has done by not reporting on all this and keeping some of the dirt out is it could help down the road with some of the mainstreamization or maybe even the legislation without, maybe not. But, making the sport a little bit more respectable.
Sure.
Still, though, by doing that, we're not really, full journalists. We're just people that online poker sites pay a lot of money to report stuff that they kind of want to report.
I've always said I'm an entertainer. I want to be an entertainer in life and in general. I want to entertain people. I'm not here to really, be a hard-hitting journalist. The best part, I think, what we do on Poker Beat, and sometimes we overstep it a little bit, is it's about opinions, our opinions. It's not really that I necessarily even fact-check. Sometimes I just see a headline and I go, that's interesting, and we just go and we talk about it. It's not that I'm triple-checking sources on things.
Right.
So,
Jess, do you feel like there's a real poker media? Does it exist?
Personally, are there a group of us that write about poker for a living? Yeah, I don't think that you could talk about us the same way you talk about like people who work the baseball beat or sports journalists. Too many of us are either aspiring players, people who fell into this by some other means. I don't think that there are many people in the world that go to college and they're like, you know what I want to do? I want to study sports journalism, and I want to be the next Scott Huff. Sorry, Huff.
What the hell,
or
Jess?
the next Jessica Wellman, for that matter. I hope no one's thinking that. It's just not something. It's not well defined. It's. I have a hard time saying that there's a poker media when every single outlet is funded by the people that we're writing about, and it's the worst kept secret in poker media that all of us are being paid to write about certain things.
That was one thing that Huff and I were talking about before the show. That it feels like once there's more of a mainstream advertising presence within poker, then maybe you'll actually see an evolution in poker journalism that will allow for covering maybe some stories that do get buried.
Sure.
So anyway, Jess, thank you for sticking around and contributing. Always welcome. We've only got a couple more minutes with Huff because we have our This Weekend Fantasy Football Draft coming up. Lots of great usernames and team names that came in on it. KevMath, you've got to play fantasy football. We wish we could have had you in on this league. It almost doesn't feel right not having KevMath in on this league. But
he's omnipresent these days, that
it's
KevMath.
Unbelievable.
He's just everywhere.
Somebody needs to offer him a really, really good job within poker. Somebody does.
He knows everything.
Yeah, and he's like such a valuable resource.
He's buried more stories than we've talked about, that KevMath. He knows a lot.
Somebody just commented in, one of our SoCal BMAC, who is one of our viewers who got in on the league, that you need to log in, Huff. You're on auto pick.
Oh, come on. Are you serious? That already started? I'm on auto pick?
I don't think it started yet, though.
It did, dude. It started a couple minutes ago.
Oh, crap. Really?
Who did they pick for me?
It started early.
Yeah, it started like 5 minutes ago. How brutal.
And
I wanted to test all of my fantasy knowledge. Who'd they pick for me? Hushmanzada?
No, it says draft begins in 1 minute, so you haven't picked anything.
All right, well, they need to take me off auto pick. It needs to load up here. So wait, are we doing this live on air?
I guess we're going to do it live on air as long as the production team can handle it. You can either kill our mics, kill us, because it's probably you want to blow your heads off listening to this. Also, a quick apology for having to move the camera around so many times. I know that I've been moving around in the chair, so sorry about that. But our draft begins in 35 seconds.
And what pick did you get in your league?
I'm number 7.
Oh, I'm number 8. Wow, we run real good.
We ran really, really bad.
Yeah, and my apologies for being late. I really wanted. I mean, this is an amazing setup you guys have and a cool show. And being an assistant to a Hollywood producer didn't work out as well as it could have.
Can you tell us all about the holdup today that happened?
Yeah, people don't do their jobs. So Delta screwed over my boss, and I had to fix it. Okay. And that's not always the easiest thing in the world to do because, you know, dealing with anyone on the phone is horrible. So because
a lot of 3, 2, 1. The draft's
Look at this countdown. This is serious business
here. So who do we think goes first in this?
I'm sure it's going to be Chris Johnson.
Love that.
You can't just go off board right off the bat.
Yeah, it was Chris Johnson, which means Adrian Peterson's going to go second.
Wow, look at Jones Drew being down to number 5. He was number 3 when we did our first draft. Someone goes off board right off the bat and takes Frank Gore 3rd.
Wow.
Make It Wayne. Who's Make It Wayne?
I think that was one of our viewers. Make It Wayne.
So wait, how many viewers are actually in this?
79.
League? Really?
4.
79, narrowed down to 4.
Right.
Are now in the league.
Right.
Of 12. All right.
Yeah.
Or no, wait, is it 10 or 12 man league that we ended up getting here?
Well, because they locked the draft before we got the last invites out, we're in an 8-person league. So
an 8-person league, wow.
It's going to be loaded. But it would have been a 12 had we been a little bit more prompt on the emails.
Well, it looks like we're going to be able to get a decent running back, each one of us, if we want, since people are going ballistic here already.
Yeah. And then
or not.
Yeah, Ray Rice gone. Neverland Ranch Hands, one of our viewers. I think that was SoCal BMAC. And it's on me. It's on to the double rainbows. So this is an easy pick for me.
Yeah, now it's on me.
Michael Turner, Atlanta.
So it's coming right back around on the turn for me, huh?
Yeah.
Someone didn't take. Did they put it on me? Oh, I get 2 in a row, huh?
Yeah, you get 2 in a row.
That's cute. All right. Well, I guess I'm gonna have to take your boy Ryan Matthews. I think.
Who'd you take?
Yeah, I'm gonna take Ryan Matthews.
Wow, Ryan Matthews.
Yeah, but now I get another pick.
Yeah.
Let's go, on board, let's go.
Who's running the sound?
Fantastic.
So this is like a rush draft, huh? Is that what's happening here?
I guess so.
All right. See, I have to be all strategic now because I have this new show, and if I have 2 bad drafts, I already have 1 bad draft. I picked like the geriatric, horrendous team. So now I have to try to.
After you make this pick, tell the viewers about your new show.
Okay,
we got to plug that.
All right. I don't want to go totally nuts here. I have worries about Randy Ratio, but I'm going to take him.
Randy Moss, first wide receiver off the board. So Huff, your first picks were
Ryan Matthews and Randy Moss.
All right.
Doing it wrong.
And
who is doing that?
And I went with Michael Turner, and I think, wow, do I go? I don't even have to. Well, we're an 8-person.
I'm really gonna make up ground in the later rounds. That's what I'm telling myself. You guys are gonna have a real problem with my sleepers and my rookies, even though I won't need them in this 8-man league. It'll be completely irrelevant.
Oh gosh. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. I can't believe I'm going with this, but I'm going with Aaron Rodgers.
Look at this guy.
Yeah, thank you.
You picked a quarterback. Wait, you picked a quarterback second in an 8-man league?
Yeah, I hate it.
That was.
I despise that pick.
Whew.
I am not happy with myself for making that pick.
Nor should you be. I don't. It's not good. When am I up next here?
That was a horrible pick by me. Thank you. Exactly.
Yeah, I got a ways to go. Yeah, so I'm hosting this new show
yes.
on.
Tell us about it.
It's a fantasy football show. I am the non-expert host, which is what I am pretty much in everything, including poker, the non-expert host. And the expert hosts about fantasy football are Deanna Brooks, Miss May 1998 from Playboy magazine, and Pilar Lastra, Miss August 2004. As you can see, I have these things memorized now after 1 week of the show from Playboy. They are the expert hosts, and it's a 1-hour show once a week, Thursday nights, 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. Pacific time. You can find it on Sirius XM 99, although right now we are figuring out whether or not we're going to be simulcast on the All Fantasy channel also. So it's possible it'll be airing in 2 different spots, replayed on Friday mornings at 10 a.m. and then Saturday and Sunday. But if you want to call in live, talk to the girls, we had well, actually, no, she was a 50th anniversary Playmate, Colleen Shannon, on last week as our guest.
Okay.
And then we had Isaac Keys, former linebacker for the Arizona Cardinals, the Green Bay Packers, and the Minnesota Vikings, on the show as our retired NFL player. But we're going to have pro players on every week, whether they're retired or some, if they can make it, that are active players. So it should be fun. It was a fun first show.
Is it
girls know their
downloadable
stuff.
on iTunes? Anywhere?
It's not going to be, I don't think.
Ever?
Probably not. I don't think Sirius really does that with most of their shows.
They should.
I don't think they do it.
I've heard this iTunes thing. It's going to be big.
It's going to be huge if you want free content, but someday someone's going to have to make a living doing something.
Right. Yeah. True. Somebody's
You
going
guys have
to figure
sponsors,
out a way to make money on this
off
internet.
off the internet. Yeah, maybe.
This whole newfangled internet thing.
So I don't think they're going to put it up. I think they want people to buy Sirius subscriptions, or for people that have it to listen. So that's the deal.
What compared to what you do with poker, a lot more. I guess you said it's not like you're necessarily the expert in it, but
No.
A lot of time spent on the research side of it. Is it
So
is it
far,
that
yes, I
different
needed to
than what
catch
you've
up.
done with poker?
I'm not a big fantasy guy. I think
Okay.
I've done a fantasy draft once before the one that I did last week. So catching up with kind of really the strategy of fantasy football and trying to understand all the terminology was a decent amount of research, because I didn't know anything about it. And then of course I have all these poker kids who do fantasy also and apply the same mathematical and statistical analysis to it, and I just realized I'll never know as much as most people do about fantasy football, and that there's a lot. I mean, it's deceptively simple. So I'm trying to learn some of the ins and outs so that I'm not just talking about players with very little connection to what it means to the fantasy game. Because I know football all right, but I don't know fantasy football. So
We're just a couple
learning.
picks away from our next selections.
That's right.
After these selections, let's talk a little poker tonight. Show that both of us had some involvement in.
You want to talk poker tonight, huh?
I want to talk a little poker tonight.
Let's talk about the unbiased poker media in the show, sponsored by Ultimate Bet.
I'll tell you what, though. Out of all the poker media, I thought we did a really good job of keeping that as above board, unbiased, and I thought we actually did a pretty agnostic show.
We did. That's true.
Oh, I'm up, and I'm picking Greg Jennings.
You blew it!
You guys are going crazy here.
I like the Greg Jennings pick. I know I got the "you blew it" sound effect, but I like my Jennings pick there. But give me the "wah, wah, wah." Huff is up.
Yeah, there's a lot of pressure doing this
This
live. This is really kind of gross. I don't like any of these running backs, I'm going to be honest. I don't like any of these idiots.
Go with Cedric Benson.
No.
You gotta go with Cedric Benson.
No.
He's
No.
proven good character guy.
I might have to
Very
go way off.
smooth.
Might have to go way off board here.
Who are you going with?
I might make a kind of crazy pick.
Oh, crud.
Time's running out. You only got 2 seconds.
I have 30.
I know.
You guys
Get
are
out
the
of my
worst.
face. Get out of my face.
Wow, I hate everyone on this. I hate everyone left already. I shouldn't, but I do.
Yeah, it's because a lot of us made bad picks early. So then when there's a rush of bad picks, you've got 7, so it's 5, 4. It's going to auto-pick it.
I'm going Romo, because I get another pick. Now I get another 2 minutes to waste everyone's
Tony
time.
Romo. Did you ever see the old blog, the TonyHomo.com?
No.
Did you ever hear about this?
No.
This is a great site. So I guess what would have been his first season, they had, this is when Drew Bledsoe was a quarterback of the Cowboys, and he went down with the injury, and Romo comes in. So this website, I think it's cashmoneyhomies.com, sort of this fake Drew Bledsoe website, as if it was Drew Bledsoe writing a blog called TonyHomo.com, just ripping on Tony Romo the whole time.
You're up, Double Rainbow. I don't want to take up too much of your time here with
Who'd you
your
pick?
description of. I took Arian Foster.
All right, that's not a bad pick.
No, it's not. I like my running back core now.
Yeah. Am I really? Yeah, man.
On that All Fantasy Network where the show may end up airing, they actually did hours and hours and hours of coverage just listening to Ashton Kutcher and his friends pick their fantasy football teams. People love fantasy football. I don't know if, let's see what kind of comments.
Yeah, are we getting a lot
here.
of FUs right now?
I don't know. Hope you took Arian Foster, says Matt Savage. I sure did, Matt.
So pretty much Matt Savage made that pick for you.
And Say What Man says, Huff, I really like your shirt. Thanks, man.
As much as I hate the French, I'm going Pierre Thomas.
Pierre Thomas.
Yeah, need another running back.
I'm just picking players. I don't even think I'm doing this right at all. I'm picking players that I want to see do well and that I want to be able to watch. I already have a team where I'm not going to want to watch any of the games of any of my players. So poker tonight, Chops.
Yes.
I think we have a while until our next pick. I get my double picks here in a while.
Yeah, poker tonight. So, I mean, overall.
What's about it?
Overall, it was a 2-season run. We came in on the second season
Yep.
of that. We were not privy to season 1. But, it felt like we were doing some good stuff with season 2. I felt like we presented we covered everything. I think we covered it relatively fair. It wasn't like, UB definitely backed the show.
Yeah.
I don't think it showed any UB favoritism.
I don't think so either, but I think there was a couple things that just shot us in the foot, though. Like the fact that it was affiliated with UB, nobody wanted to like it.
Right.
So it was a flawed concept. I'm not going to lie. I will go on record. It was a flawed concept for a poker TV show. Why? It had no hook to bring in the average dum-dum off the street who wants to be on TV and make $1 million.
Right.
So how do you really convert customers from a poker news show? The people who watch it already like poker, are already interested and aren't signing up for new UB accounts because they already either know about the scandal or they already have a UB account and are playing on it. So that was kind of unfortunate that we couldn't find some hook. Like, even if the last show, I pitched this, by the way, the first season, I was like, the last show, we should still have a sit and go, like a live sit and go going on while we're delivering the news and the winner wins a main event seat or 5 main event seats or whatever. But without a hook, the big game where our friend Joe Stapleton is now the host and people are loving it, has a great hook. It's a well put together show with a great hook.
Yeah, really high production value.
High production value too, of course. I mean, the show looks great and all that, and it has star power behind it. With players. I thought that kind of hurt us. Is that I just don't think poker's popular.
Is that
enough
you
to
didn't have the
sustain
star
news.
power?
I didn't have the star power. That was one of the big things. But I think it was also that I don't think poker can sustain a news show yet. If they did, it would probably be on one of the major sports networks already.
Right.
It was a time buy to begin with. It wasn't like Fox Sports Net said, we want a show about poker and the news. They were like, we'll absolutely take your money and let you put this show on TV that has absolutely zero chance of succeeding. But I think we did a really good job of trying to make it
All
work.
things considered.
I stand by that. I say we still. Do you think there's any room for it still? Is poker?
I think there's
this
room
works.
for it. I actually and I do feel like a format like this on the web works. No, but
well, you don't have a $150,000 set behind you. Kids at home. It's a lot more expensive than it looks.
I mean, that was part of the problem, though,
because
because we just look at it, immediately aesthetically with the set. You're kind of boxing yourself into what kind of show it can be and how serious it can be taken. Poker is a degenerate sport, and it's colorful, and at times people would describe it as even sexy, and it was a very boring set in studio.
We pitched a game room idea instead and less button down gear, but we didn't get that. We didn't get some of our requests. And it's not excuses. Look, I think it was fun to do. I had an amazing time doing it, and I wish it would have continued. You know what I mean? But there were some things that could have been done better for sure if we were going to try to use that concept. That Infomania or the kind of show that you guys were trying to put together when you came in the second season coupled with a different, more relaxed look, might have been able to sway a few more people to be interested in watching it. But you have guys in suits in the free throw contest. I loved the idea, but it just wasn't, meshing even when we tried to make it more entertaining.
I'm picking We're going to continue talking poker tonight. I'm picking right now, and then you're up next. I have no problem starting to make some reaches, but I'm not going to reach that far yet. That's right.
Bitch train and just pick one.
Yeah, no, I did. It was Matt Forte. Killed my team last year. Killed killed my team last year. Huff's up next.
I get 2 picks. You know, this is probably a weird pick, but I want him because he's such a freaking beast.
How many times in your life have you said, I want him? A lot, right?
I'm going, I think I might have to take a tight end. I think I might go Jermichael Finley.
That's not a bad pick. People are loving Jermichael.
People are high on Jermichael Finley, so I'm taking him.
He's off the board.
And now I get another one. My boy Ronnie Brown just shares too many carries.
He does. And I'd take Ricky Williams over Ronnie Brown. Just saying.
Look at us colluding.
Good day, sir.
God. I don't like too many people left on this board here. Everything I've read says stay away from Noshawn Moreno.
Really? Mm-hmm. Still not. He's a Georgia boy. So no hating on Noshawn, but I know the fact that he hasn't been selected yet, you're getting good value for Noshawn now.
Don't try to talk me into stuff. That's really
It's just sad.
it's really low class. All right, I got 32 seconds to consult one of my many apps about fantasy football here.
Somebody actually in our chat logs, Josh Woodworth, says that Dana Workman was reason enough for the show to continue.
How about that?
Yeah.
Good looks. I wish I was better looking. Does it auto pick for me if I don't pick somebody right now? It does?
Yep.
All right, I'm going to take Joseph Adai.
Joseph Adai, real quick, Joseph Adai's got my all-time favorite name to say as if you were a deaf person.
In the world.
So, like, just say Joseph Adai. It just sounds like...
You guys. Do you pay the bills with that kind of comedy? That's what Chops here pays the bills
That's
with.
right. I got 2 Pierres on my team. Pierre Thomas and Pierre Garçon. This is from the guy who hates the French. Do you guys have like a Sacre Bleu sound effect back there?
No. You can't.
Anyway, so yeah, still.
Oh man, that was a bad pick, I got to say,
Who'd you pick?
by me. No, I don't really like that Joseph Adai pick at all.
Whoa.
No, I don't like that. Who was saying Josh Woodworth was the one who liked Dana Workman, huh?
Yeah. Do you know him? Do you know him?
I don't.
Okay.
No.
But yeah, I feel like we were covering, as the show, obviously as when you start a show, it's always going to, with the exception of this one today, this episode, shows get better as they go along because you just get more comfortable. You figure out, your tone, your attitude, your style. And I felt like, we were hitting a pretty good groove with the show, despite some issues with certain people on the staff, but take that.
Yes.
take out.
People had issues with that same person on the staff 2 seasons in a row,
Yeah, but you take out
independent of each other.
that humorless approach, and add what we were doing to it. I feel like we were actually really doing a pretty good job on making the show interesting. And had there been another season, and who knows, maybe one day there will be. But had there been another season,
We keep talking like this, I'm sure there will be. People will just be lining up to give us money and time to do whatever we want.
another show, you ingrate.
Season 3. Refer back to This Week in Poker from September the 7th. You can see why you're not getting any funding.
Right.
I think it's cool to be the first people to do it on TV.
Right.
I mean, obviously The Inside Deal was doing it online a few months before we started doing it on TV, but it was fun to be the first people to do it on TV. It's always fun to be the first people, and if, it doesn't work out, oh well. I wouldn't consider it a failure, I guess is what I'm saying, even though it only went 2 seasons. Even though it didn't become the sports center of poker, most shows don't become the sports center for their given subject matter. So,
Do you watch the Daily Line at all on Versus?
The Daily Line? What's that? No.
It's their, I guess you call it their answer to Sports Center.
Okay.
But it's a totally different approach, and I feel like it's unique, different, kind of G4-ish. It works a little bit. But check it out.
Never seen it. Yeah.
Daily Line.
Never
Versus.
seen it. Versus, yeah.
Are you familiar with
good
Versus?
spot. I'm familiar with Versus, yes.
I actually like the people at Versus. I will say that.
Yeah, I know.
I've had good positive experience with them. So we're just tearing through this draft. We're not paying any attention to our teams whatsoever, as you can tell if you look at our team, our respective teams. But what do you
many
need?
rounds do we have
What,
here?
I think we have 74 rounds. So
Again, 74. By the way, were you saying this is a bad show before? Am I a part of your worst show yet? Is that what's going on?
I don't know. Let's. I think you just opened yourself up for a hammering from the chat.
It can't possibly be my fault. I've only been
No,
on for
definitely
like
not your
15
fault.
minutes.
Had we had a little bit more time, had you not had the fire to
I knew
put
that
out,
was going to happen.
Had you not had that fire to put out, I think we would have had a great, longer conversation on Poker Media.
When do I get to have one job? When does Poker Tonight Season 3 come back again? When is that happening?
Exactly.
Were we just talking about that? Did you mention there's going to be a Season 3? Because I could really
coming in a couple.
I could really use that actually, so I don't have to do one job.
Explain the PA business
Oh man.
that you've been in actually, kind of on the side for a while.
No, it's good. The job I have now is much different than the first one that I had. The first one that I had, I worked.
It's kind of crazy.
I worked in someone's home office, and they weren't doing a whole lot. So basically, my entire life was, dry cleaning, coffee, phone calls, that kind of stuff. Now I have a creative role in the company that I'm working for, but it doesn't mean that there's any less dry cleaning to be picked up or any less coffee to be gotten. It just means that, in the downtime, there's interesting stuff to get your hands in. But I mean, for the most part, you just make sure that someone else's life doesn't fall apart, even if it means sacrificing your own life falling apart. So
would
Alexander can probably tell you better about what the PA business is like because of the effect it has on our lives.
Sure.
But
What is there kind of an end game goal to this with?
Sure, to be involved in the movie business hands-on, in a higher level than being someone's assistant, which is not that far off.
So movie business, entertainment business, TV, which is kind of whatever, it doesn't matter. Is there something in particular, like
I have definitely taken
5
the
years from
shotgun
now?
approach.
5 years from now, dream scenario for me is
Dream scenario would be still being able to be on radio, because I think it's much more fun than TV, and I think radio is the most fun format by far.
Right.
This actually has that feel of being on radio, except once you get past the fact that you have all the cameras on you, it's the same kind of thing. Like an open conversation where you can just kind of actually think through something to the end, I think is what makes radio great. So still doing radio, but then being sort of behind the scenes in movies, whether it's writing or producing or whatever. I'd like to be.
So writing would
be the end game.
potentially be a part of it for you.
Yeah, I think so.
I can't believe that just a couple people looking at the draft boards who I can't believe have not gone yet. CJ Spiller, avoiding him. I'm sure he'll probably go by you next.
People are down on him.
Everybody always seems to reach on Reggie Bush. And the guy who I think is the best running back on the New York Giants, who's now on my team, Ahmad Bradshaw.
And that's my pick.
Yep.
This is interesting. Wow, look, Hakeem Nick's still around. Mike Sims Walker, Michael Crabtree. It's probably crazy because he's having these migraines, but I'm taking Percy. I'm taking Percy.
Boom or bust.
Yep. This is a risky team.
You got another one.
I know. This has been some risky picks, I think.
There's one exceedingly not risky pick on the board. Depends on what you need. If you need a wide receiver, in my opinion.
I don't even know. Honestly, I didn't even look to see which. What round are we in? I didn't even look to see what our starters were in this league. Is it 3 wideouts and a flex?
2 wideouts, 2 running backs, and a flex.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
What are you thinking? You got 40. You got 43 seconds.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They're calling the clock on you.
Nobody wants my boy Ronnie Brown. Nobody.
Yeah, I don't blame him. I'm telling you, Ricky Williams over Ronnie Brown. If I was drafting in your position and was going to be a Miami Dolphins homer, I would go Ricky Williams over Ronnie Brown. Vuvuzelas.
Oh, man. 5 seconds. Oh, come on. What's going on here? What am I doing? What'd they take from me? San Francisco's defense. Is that a joke?
How did that happen?
Unbelievable.
Do you really? You
right,
just
not
got
so
San
bad.
Francisco.
Yeah. I had San Francisco's defense in this 8-man league at a discount here in the 8th round.
That was awesome.
Come on, Huff.
Okay, here's
Who's the ATL Goon Squad?
Here, the guy that I'm just picking right now, Hines Ward. Sublet my apartment in college for a summer to Hines Ward.
Really?
Yeah. How's that for a story? It's true, though. Hines Ward, a guy Dallas Cowboys drafted named Larry Brown, played basketball and football. And then a guy that was probably their agent now was kind of guy that seemed like he was hooking them up. So the three of them, and my roommates Bones and Leo and myself, sublet the apartments to them. And then my friend Freaky still lived in the apartments with them.
ATL Goon Squad says Chops has told me this story 30 times.
It's true.
But you had a roommate named Bones?
Yeah, had a
So
roommate
Chops,
named Bones.
Bones and Chops, Bones. What else? What else did you guys have?
Freaky and Leah. Those would be the roommates. And hey,
Were you guys the Bone Thugs in Harmony?
What's that?
Were you guys the Bone with names like that? I feel like you should have had like a quartet of some kind.
No, we just drank a lot.
Accomplished very little. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how you get into poker media.
Exactly. But no, so yeah, Freaky would play basketball every day with Hines and Larry Brown, and they'd just like, get open, Freak, or pass me the ball, Freak, and they love Freaky. But the multiple times that I crashed on the sofa of the apartment that I was subletting during that summer, they weren't a big fan of Chops.
I gotta say, I can name drop with the best one too. I sublet my apartment to Joe Stapleton of Poker Stars The Big Game, and his girlfriend at the time, Flo. Him and Flo. But I didn't. It was actually my roommate who subletted their room to Joe, and I had the pleasure of living with Joe and Flo together. She was an interesting character. She's the.
Now was Flo the 14-year-old?
She's the impetus behind Strip Club or Hair Salon. Actually, the game that we play on Two Jacks in the Hole, one of the other podcasts that I do, not non-poker related podcast.
Let's talk about non-poker related podcasts.
Sure.
Two Jacks in the Hole, because there needs
It's
to.
my favorite thing that I do every week. That's for sure.
Every time that on Wicked Chops or even on This Weekend, when we color a little outside the poker lines and try and do a little bit more pop culture, it seems like we get slammed a lot for it. But it feels like, all other forms of media, you try and incorporate other things out. Do you guys have a good positive feedback with it or not?
Yeah, because we don't do any poker.
Okay.
We refuse to talk poker. If people talk poker, we get upset and we drop them. Or we have one segment per week called the obligatory poker segment, where you can call in and talk about poker, but you have 5 seconds. I mean, if the word poker comes up, we burn it so that people can't even use it later. So yeah, we've had great feedback. The show has a lot of, it's constantly making the top 100, top 50 comedy podcasts on iTunes. It's been as high as number 6 behind the Ricky Gervais show when we got a real big push. So it's great. It's the most fun I have all week. We just go until we're done, which kind of feels like what we're doing here today.
Yep.
We just go and go and go. I don't think we've had a show under 2 hours in a year and a half.
You just kind of cover everything?
We've been closer to 3, and we just cover anything and everything. It's mostly about our lives. I mean, it's mostly us being unbelievably candid to the point where we piss off friends, wives, girlfriends, parents, because we're just blowing up everyone's spot the entire show and saying exactly what we think of everything. So that's the idea, and it's fun. And people call in, we play some games. We give stuff away that I never mail to the fans. So I don't know. Did the fans actually get your stuff that you give away?
Okay, if it was me, if I was the one responsible for the shipment of goods, they would never see a thing. But Brian Cooley, the other entity,
right,
is way more responsible and good about stuff like that. So they usually get it faster than they probably would ever imagine. But
where does that dude sit when they're here?
He usually sits right there.
Is that camera even? Is there a camera on over there or no?
No, there's I think one of these cameras, they point towards him in the corner.
Oh, come on. I want
to
to go draft from over there. I wanted to be in that seat the entire time today.
Yeah.
That's a very cool little spot. It's much more, it's much sleeker and cooler looking when you're not in here. I don't want to pull back the curtain on the wizardry of this show, but I mean, it looks like you're in the coolest spot in the entire room, and really it's kind of like detention when you get right down to it over there.
Yeah.
There's no way I can sit over there? All right.
Yeah.
I guess not. I guess I'm not interested. Oh, great. My computer's about to die. Let me borrow some juice from you there, Chops. We'll really show the seams here.
Did I actually? I did slide. Okay. So I think we're in round 9 now. We're coming up on another one. Pat Nice, one of our viewers, if you're watching this, can you type in the chat box how many rounds this is? This is going to go on too much longer. Only 4 more rounds. Maybe 5 tops. Get on it, Pat. Do it, Pat. What are we at? We were at 1 hour in this show. I apologize.
We're only at 1 hour?
Yeah, just for the show in general.
for the show in general.
Which means we're going to be done soon. Don't you worry.
Feels like it's been an hour since we started drafting.
Always does. Everybody comes out like with such a
We
bang.
should have had a big board, a big board or something where the two of us were going back and forth.
Like if we did the auction
or we should
thing?
be drinking or something. I don't know what.
Yeah, we should have busted out Mad Men style, maybe bourbons.
Yeah,
something
exactly.
like that.
Exactly. We should.
Or just drink
like
beer.
That. Oh wait, I'm almost on the clock here. This is horrible. I'm sure I'm gonna make
And I am on the
a
clock.
lot more mistakes.
So I have absolutely. I don't know what even like the run has been on. Has there been a run on anything? ATL Goon Squad is drinking, so that's good. People are selecting defenses. All right. I might just, out of spite, select back-to-back Ronnie Brown and Ricky Williams. It's because why not?
Doing it wrong.
But instead, go with a bit of a sleeper, I think, on mine, Jacoby Jones. He's in there. Thank you.
Oh, Jacoby Jones is still around?
Yeah.
God damn it. You got him just in front of me.
I like that Jacoby Jones pick. I'm a fan.
Yeah, that wasn't a bad pick, I gotta say. Someone took Welker, huh?
Yep.
Son of a bitch.
Had I not gone with Ward, I would have gone Welker.
Son of a bitch.
Son of a Mitch.
I'm gonna go with your boy Johnny Knox.
Gotta go with
As long as
Johnny
he's
Knox.
still there.
Why wouldn't you go with Johnny Knox?
Let's just hope with no offensive line, they're still gonna be able to throw the ball occasionally. Since Mike Martin's gonna throw it anyway, but.
You lose.
The pressure's on for Huff for another pick.
People don't like the pace that I go at here.
Yeah.
I'm catching a lot
I
of
like it though. I appreciate it. You take all of the time that you possibly can and drag this out as excruciatingly long as
Yep.
possible. So I'm fans. It's good.
I'm gonna go. I'm
need a
going
tight end.
really. I'm going really deep here. I think this could be a terrible.
It's like the
pick,
first
but
time
I'm
you've
gonna
said
go-
that, right?
Yeah. I'm going really deep here.
Who do you get?
I'm grabbing LaDainian. I think he's gonna have a better season than most people probably think he
I
will.
agree with you. I guess I need a tight end. Didn't realize I didn't have one. So let's go with Owen Daniels. Sounds good.
All I really cared about was getting Jermichael Finley in this draft. I'm happy. I'll run him in at every position every week, including quarterback. It's fine.
I feel like I should go with Visante Chienko and his large penis, but Owen Daniels. Have you seen that photo?
I know that the photo exists, but no, I have to say I haven't gone out to specifically see.
We got a little bit of time. So
I'm good. I'm good on Vishanti Shanko's dong. Can I steal some of your juice there before I end up getting auto-picked the rest of the way out?
there you go.
So what else, Poker Chops? What else you got going on in here?
Got a story
This
I'm working on.
free-flowing conversation about poker.
Got a couple stories that we're working on. I think, as mentioned, we weren't originally thinking about doing a part 3 UB story, but I think we might now. We'll see. See how the next week or so goes on some info gathering. That,
I mean, part 3 will be about the fact that Russ Hamilton is not involved anymore with UB, but he is still Santa Claus at their holiday parties.
Exactly.
And no one thinks there's anything wrong with that, right?
Right. No.
Everyone's cool with that he's just holiday Santa.
right. Actually, part 3
Because you
is
can't have anything to really do
part
with the
3 is
company at that
completely
point.
about how Russ is the CEO right now.
Oops, we left the best for last. We've been
Damn.
teasing that throughout.
Yeah, I didn't handle that one well. I'm supposed to.
So wait, what
I
other
could have
stories?
posed that as a question. No. Yeah, just a couple other. One of the things that we try and do on that we actually legitimately try to do on our side, on the Wicked Shop side, is fact checked as much as we can, because we do have and we have reps within the industry. We've got a lot of business connections within the industry, so we don't want to get these types of stories wrong. So if a couple of things fact check out, then yeah, we could have a couple big stories coming up within the next week or so.
Really?
Yeah.
Big in what facet of the industry? Are we talking online big? Like big online stories? Visante Shanko. Can't even say his damn name. Visante Shanko-esque stories coming out? Is that what's going on? Right.
Yeah, probably more on the online poker side. But
Really?
Yeah. Some things shaking out.
Interesting.
It could be. We will find out. as we were in around 11. We might just let everybody. Guys, if you want to kill the show now, you can kill the show. Go ahead.
Is that how you end it, too?
Yeah.
Is that how you say it every week? We're just going to kill the show.
Yeah, go ahead. Join us next week on This Week in Poker. If you guys are still even awake in there, you might not even know that I'm saying we're done with the show this week. But join us next week on This Week in Poker. I promise you we will not have a fantasy draft, and we'll spend more than a full hour discussing whatever topics arise, maybe on a couple stories that we're working on Wicked Chops. Huff, we got to have you in again.
I would love to. I just knew that a disaster always strikes right when it's not supposed to.
Yeah.
I mean, all day, calm. The minute I'm supposed to step in here,
I believe they
and
call that
do,
Occam's razor.
Yeah, it's like unbelievable
Murphy's
that
Law?
would happen.
Which one is that?
I think it's Murphy's Law.
Yeah.
If anything can go happen, it certainly will.
Right.
So,
Okay.
whatever.
So
Thanks for having me, though, and I would love to come back. This is really cool.
Yeah, for sure. Let's plan on definitely having you back. We're going to spend more time talking about whatever the things are that we're going to talk about. It'll be soon with Sans disaster and fantasy football draft. Join us next week, 4 o'clock Pacific, 7 o'clock Eastern. This Week in Poker. Thank you.